Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another episode of 2021, more like 2020 but fun repetitive palettes. If you're new to my channel, make sure that you're subscribed. There are regular giveaways on my channel despite the fact there's no PR here. Alright, so both Natasha Denona and Pat McGrath decided to re-release what was their, I guess, best of 2020 palettes. And Natasha will also be releasing her CIRCO LOCO palette sometime soon after Valentine's Day. So we'll talk about that in this video as well. But if you remember last year around Valentine's Day, she released that Love palette. That was about $60. And so based on the success of that, this year she's releasing the Mini Love, which some people already have. And Pat is also re-releasing her Divine Rose collection. Basically, anyone who set their alarm for getting that limited edition palette is coming back. So nothing is really limited edition, because that was the only thing I was confident that it was worth, setting your alarm for, because you're going to get something really rare. And apparently you're not getting something super rare. All except for that Star Wars palette, of course. But everything else that they've teased from this upcoming release, I feel like I already own, because I have different variations of these shades, and I just feel like it's being repackaged to me again, and it doesn't really interest me to go and buy the liners or the lipsticks and the highlighter maybe, but what everybody was asking for was a blush, and unfortunately there's no blush. However, there is going to be a quad called Eternal Eden, and this quad is going to retail for $58. It's not going to have any special shades, but it's going to have some shimmery shades in there. And what I find really interesting about this, that it kind of reminds me of the left side of the Rose Decadence palette that came out last year. So if you exclude that gold at the bottom and that dark burgundy, you're basically left with a similar quad. And I'm not saying the colors are exactly the same, but they're kind of in the same tone. So if you already have these colors in your collection, it may not be worth it for you. What everybody was asking when that Rose Decadence was released was to just have some more elements of the rose, like the rose stem, which is kind of green, and to have like more variety, to have like a pop of green in there. But I guess maybe the reason why she's doing it is because neutrals are more attractive to larger groups of people, kind of like Charlotte Tilbury, who has multiple versions of neutral quads, and it appeals to so many people, and she can keep releasing various combinations of them. So I guess it makes sense from a financial point of view. There are endless combinations of quads that she can come up with, and me personally, I like the colorful ones. My favorite quad of hers was the Nocturnal Nirvana that came out last year, 2018, I think. That was one of my favorite palettes of hers. And also that little mini quad that came out last year, I thought that was fun for like a couple of shades. But I gotta say, my favorite was probably the Risque Rose of all the quads, the Celestial Divinity quads. And yeah, I'm expecting that Pat McGrath is going to do way more quads now, especially, and I think she's going to go down the Charlotte Tilbury route, where it's going to be multiple versions of rose color. I know a lot of people are tired of rose color shadows. I am too, but there's still a huge market for it, and ultimately we vote with our dollars. But neutrals are never going to go away, and it's something that brands are always going to recycle. So don't expect that to go away anytime soon. All right, so before we talk about the new Natasha Denona CIRCO LOCO palette, which is set to be released soon, I want to give you guys an update on the Natasha Denona Mini Love collection, which is an extension to her Love collection that came out last year. And she was doing some nude lipsticks last year as well. So this is kind of same size as the Mini Retro, Mini Zendo, Mini Lila, all those other palettes. And she's saying that there's no dupes in here, and she's named all these shades after something romantic instead of saying crease or lid or something instructional like a paint by color. She's calling them You Are My True Love, and they are creamy and buttery. However, if you do own that Big Love palette, you probably don't need this one, and it's just complementary to that bigger palette. So let me know if you did actually end up picking this one. Now, as far as the Love Cheek Duo, this one didn't really speak to me because I already had the Love Blush Cheek Duo from last year, and they also had the same confetti effect last year. So again, I feel like this is just repackaging of the same stuff that we already had. Really care about the new lipsticks. New lipsticks are a dime a dozen to me, and but the most important thing to remember is that this palette shelf life is only 24 months or 2 years. So again, we are in the middle of a pandemic, so if you are using them for your Zoom calls and you think you'll use it daily, then I think you should by all means get them. It's actually pretty long for usual Natasha Denona products. They usually last for like 12 months, so it's just something to consider in the middle of a pandemic. But between the Natasha Denona and the Pat McGrath collection, I think I'm more gravitating towards the Natasha Denona collection, because the Pat McGrath one, as I explained, the only new thing is that quad and possibly the highlighter. A lot of people are interested in the highlighter. We're all still hoping for that blush to come out soon. All right, so now the next thing I want to talk about is the new Natasha Denona CIRCO LOCO palette. Now I was made aware about this palette by my friend Pana, which I'll link her Instagram down below. This palette, when we first saw the swatches, we were like, oh my gosh, this is the ugliest palette ever. And I feel like she's definitely testing her boundaries with these random shades that she's put together, which don't necessarily even match the packaging that she's putting out for the CIRCO LOCO palette. If you look at them, like, I don't see a shiny purple in there. I do see sort of a lilac in there. I definitely don't see a light blue. It's more like a dark navy. And then we have the several shades of orange or peach. I know this photo may have not been taken in good light or may have been leaked out by someone in her company, but I just feel like these colors don't really go well together, and I don't blame her because they are trying to be creative and there's only so many color stories that you can come out with before you start looking like Norvina palettes. And that is because with Norvina palettes, the colors don't really have to make sense as long as they're different enough for customers to spend money on. And I think that's the direction that Natasha Denona palettes are going after the glam and bronze last year. Her only options left are to make different combination palettes, and that's ultimately all it is. Now, as far as the name CIRCO LOCO parties were parties that were founded in 1999. It's also the name of Fashion Week event that was going on in February of last year. But to me, this palette is more like Crazy Clown because there's a crazy remix of colors in there. I don't know who the target market really is intended to be because it doesn't really have bright clownish colors in it so far based on the photos that have been leaked. They look kind of dark and muted, so they're not exactly circus clown colors either. However, the packaging is very reminiscent of clown clothing and sort of like circus material. Color story vaguely reminds me of that 1980s palette by Urban Decay, which I absolutely hated because I couldn't really create any deep or light looks at the crease, and it kind of gives me sort of like Boy George 1980s vibes, and that's not bad if you want to go for that look. But me personally, I'm not super sold on this palette. And speaking of being sold, the price tag is most likely going to be $125 based on the success of her Trio Chrome palette that she was able to release in a larger pan size versus the $65 or $68 palettes that had smaller pans. So it really depends. And maybe like Safari, it'll be on sale after a couple months because nobody's going to buy it. But I feel like this was sort of like her passion project or something that she wanted to just test her limits, because she seems to do no wrong with the makeup industry, at least with all these people raving about her products. I did have some misses with her products, especially the Love palette. When I bought my Love palette, I did a video on my Instagram where 2 batches were not exactly the same, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you're going to pick this up or not, and don't forget to subscribe to be entered in giveaways, and I will see you guys next time.